Okay, we're going to start an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today, a really cool review for you guys from the brand Laco, which is actually an abbreviation of their original name known as Lasher & Company. They're originally founded back in 1925. They are made in Germany, and they are really well known for being one of the 5 original Flieger manufacturers, along with A. Lange & Söhne, Wempe, Walter Storz, now known as Stowa, and IWC. This particular watch, though, falls within the everyday watch category. Some key characteristics in design when you're looking for something that you can wear every day. Of course, you're going to want that versatile blend of both sporty and dressy attributes. This is their Cuxhaven 39, and it's pretty much a new halo model for Laco's Navy range of maritime-themed watches, inspired by those used to perform nautical observations dating all the way back to the 1940s. You can get this particular model for $1,560 direct plus shipping, and I have to say it's a real gem. I mean, as much as I love my Laco Flieger Pro, I think you take this plus that watch and you can kind of almost have a perfect 2-watch collection from one brand, and it's that good. It definitely is worthy of some praise. And I know some of you guys might just think of Laco as a Flieger company, but you know, these maritime themed watches are also really, really well done and do have quite a history. So with all of that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, let's get this piece in hand, and you can see it's absolutely a gorgeous piece. And again, it's really meant to be an everyday watch because it does balance, of course, things like sporty aspects like lume and, you know, very solid build construction with some quite dressy things like, of course, the ornate level of finishing on, let's say, the coin edge bezel, that beautiful glossy white enamel dial, and of course, a beautiful hand-wound Swiss movement. But very quickly, for those of you that are just curious of what this looks like compared to their 40mm Pro spec, this is also, as well, just one thing to mention, this is fully optioned out, so you also are getting extra AR coating. You're getting it on the under and on the over there, versus here, this comes standard with just a single coat of AR coating, but you could actually option that up as well, although it does affect the price. And you can see here, this one has also been optioned up to have the really well decorated movement there, the top grade. Here, you're going to get really well decorated right out of the gates, but if you want to upgrade to a top grade, you could. But again, just very quickly, really beautiful design language here, and especially if you have this on the steel bracelet, I mean, this could definitely be a wonderful 1-2 punch from a single brand. So big shout out to Laco for reaching out to me about this new release and sending it over so I can share it with you guys. Now, getting into some of the details, 39 millimeters in diameter, 10 millimeters thick, 45.5 millimeters lug to lug, 3116L stainless steel, brushed and polished. It does have a beautiful sapphire crystal with a very slight dome and an inner AR coating. When I say slight, I mean it's ever so slight. You guys can see there. I just wouldn't qualify it really as like a, you know, a flat crystal, but it does have an ever so slight dome that really doesn't affect anything in terms of the viewing angle at very harsh spots there. You can see still very, very legible. Now, getting into this bezel, it is very nice. It is a nice polished coin edge bezel there. It doesn't turn, but definitely adds just a nice bit of visual interest, and, you know, does help dress up the watch and give it somewhere for it to really catch light in a very interesting way that does add a bit of charm. Now, in terms of the crown, this one is going to be a push-pull crown, although it does have 10 atmospheres or 100 meters of water resistance, so you know you're going to be getting a very solid build quality, as opposed to, let's say, you know, not not quite as robust as the Flieger. We're going to get a screw down crown and 200 meters of water resistance. You know, this still feels quite overbuilt with 100 meters of water resistance for such a very nice and handsome watch. I mean, look at the blued hands just dancing across that stark dial in the background. I mean, I just love it. Now, in terms of the movement, it is their manual. They call it the 216. I believe they actually might have currently a small what's the word I'm looking for, typo on the website, because they say it, I believe they have it listed as something else, but the movement that it basically is the base movement for it is a Sellita SW 216 in an elaborate grade. So basically it should be called the Laco 216 because it's mimicking the SW 216. I want to say they put the 261, but that's an automatic movement. So it should be 216. And you guys can see here, really beautifully done. Very, very nice. I mean, you're even getting really beautifully blued screws. You're getting some nice perlage there in the back. And of course, nice Geneva striping on the front plates. So very, very handsome. And of course, very, very thin. You're going to get a 45-hour power reserve, as well as a 4 hertz beat rate, which is really nice. So it's going to be at 28,800 vibrations per hour. And with that small seconds dial, they didn't necessarily have to go with one that had such a nice beat rate. So you're going to get it extra smooth now. A lot of times when you have a small sub-seconds there, a lot of brands will use movements with a 3 hertz movements just because the seconds hand is so short, you're really not going to notice the difference here. You're going to get, again, just that extra level of smoothness. Now, getting into the dial, guys, let's just get into it. Ooh, check that out. Glossy white enamel with that beautiful, clean and crisp printed index. You're getting no date, but also no ghost crown position, which is great. Thermally blued hands and Superluminova C3. So this is actually for an everyday piece and for a very dressy piece. This is going to give you some really nice, outstanding lume, which I'm excited to share with you guys. So also one thing to go back to, 100 meters or 10 atmospheres of water resistance, 20 millimeter lugs, which do make it a very nice option to swap out on different straps. But I will say, right from the factory, handmade in Germany, really beautiful strap option here. And you can see it does have a nice signed and polished buckle there. And yeah, this thing is really nice. It's a light brown leather strap and it is very plush to the touch and I think pretty well appointed. You know, the stitching there looks very clean. I would say there's only one point where I feel like the stitch was a little off, but I mean, again, stuff like that can kind of vary, especially for handmade products. But one thing that I think is really nice is you can really dress this up by swapping it to something a little bit more nautical themed, which I'll show you guys. But first, let's go ahead and try this on the wrist with the factory strap. Okay guys, as you can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, this wears beautifully centered there. Check it out. Again, not a dedicated dress watch, so the 39 millimeter size, I don't think will be really an issue, and it really helps it fit in more of that everyday category. You guys can see here that, of course, the proportions of the dial are really beautifully balanced, but if I do get my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, you're probably going to notice a bit of perspective distortion. It's going to make the watch seem a little bit more oversized. So what I like to do is keep my wrist nice and low and then just tighten up the frame here so you guys can get still a very nice detailed look, but just with a bit of a truer aspect ratio. Check that out. And I think this strap looks really great. It feels really nice. I will say doesn't really require any break-in. Very soft, very supple, and it really is a great choice color-wise because it just matches and suits everything here quite nicely. But one thing I do want to do is show you guys a secondary option that I think really, really dresses up this piece and elevates it to just a whole new level. Okay, now check that out. Absolutely gorgeous, guys. It's as you can see featured here on a beautiful, you know, nautical themed loopless sailcloth strap from Artem Sailcloth. They really do it. You guys have seen this strap and other color variations of it all over my channel, and it's just because I think they're that good. These are really nice. And this watch isn't cheap, right? It's not ultra expensive. I think it's quite attainable at around $1,500, but also it's not going to feel completely foreign on an expensive strap like this. I mean, this strap is about $200. As specced out here with this beautiful, you can see this very nice Artem deployant clasp here that is definitely within the Omega styling, but the strap itself just really suits the character of the watch, and I really dig that. So with that said, let's go ahead, get this piece off the wrist, set up for some Lume shots, the light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here, guys. Hey, check that out. Very nice. It is still, of course, daylight when I'm filming this, so let me try to get it just a bit darker. Check that out. I mean, wow. That looks absolutely fantastic, guys. And this is on a dressy everyday watch. This isn't a dive watch. This isn't a Flieger. I mean, look at that lume. Really well done. Piercing, when it comes to the handset. It just looks really gorgeous. And yeah, I'm all for that. But one thing I always like to work in, of course, is a bit of a low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just hanging out underneath the shade of a tree. So it's very nice to see how these colors, textures, and finishes render alike in less than optimal lighting here, guys. Wow. Maybe even include a bit of harsh lighting, which typically could expose any types of production defects. But all you guys are going to notice here is that enamel white dial renders as such. And you can also notice the beautiful patterning there on that sub-dial for the 60 seconds. So very cool. And thanks to the outline around those loomed indexes and the train track there, you guys will always have a very nice point of contrast. So you're going to have a lot of great legibility in low light, transitional light, and relative darkness. Of course, you're still going to have a nice amount of contrast, because that white is going to stay white and glossy, guys. Really beautiful. I mean, just the details on here are very impressive. And in this case, you guys do see, of course, that beautiful and very nice and quite expensive Artem sailcloth strap. Again, not for the faint of heart, but neither is this watch. There might be a little sticker shock. Some people don't want to spend this much on something that is lesser known. But I will say the Laco brand, if you know about them, you have a great appreciation and admiration for them. And of course, if you like to talk watches, there's always a lot of fun to talk. Let's say if you do have a 2-watch collection, or at least a Laco Flieger, whether it be one of their more entry level or one of their more top halo models, like the model that I have, it's always great to kind of just tie that history together. So guys, closing thoughts on the wrist, really the perfect size and proportions for this type of everyday, dressy, very versatile watch. Now, in terms of model variants, it's also available in a black Bremerhaven 39 or 42 millimeter size, and it also has options to upgrade to top grade movements, as well as an additional layer of outer anti-reflective coating, to even add to just the regular inner air coating that comes as standard. Now, in terms of comparable models, Naval Chronometer style wristwatches are quite popular with both German and Swiss-made brands, but typically end up being more kind of on extreme ends of the pricing spectrum. So it's really nice to see something well above your typical kind of entry-level offering, while also being a bit more attainable than the very popular, like, super high-end luxury options within this space. So I think that's really cool. Yes, there will be cheaper variations of watches that will have a similar look, and there will be some that are going to be way more prestigious that are going to also cost a good amount of more money. But right around $1,500, I think this, you know, the value proposition really aligns with what you're getting, even outside of, you know, a lot of subjective things in terms of what your appreciations are and nuances within why you purchase a watch. I think objectively the specs, the fit, the finish, everything there, the fact that it's from a, you know, a brand that was making these watches at a functional level, you know, dating back to the 1940s, you know, for me, that's definitely a place of actual value. So bottom line for me, guys, the Cuxhaven 39 really charmed me. I've been a fan of this style of watch for many years, but could never really quite find the right combination of design and value that really resonated with me until now. So thanks to Laco for creating this watch, sharing it with me to share with you, because oh man, I'm definitely in a honeymoon period with this piece. It's just very cool. Recently, I have been getting a little bit more into dressy, you know, or even full on dress watches. And, you know, as much as I love the good old, you know, sports watches, divers, pilots, field watches, there's something to be said about something that's just a little bit more understated on the dressier side. But instead of it being just completely stripped down, right, and feeling completely barren minimalist, here, it is, of course, still stripped down, but I mean, minimalist is not the word for this, because they just went maximum on so many aspects of details and ornate design and execution. So they really knocked it out of the park. But let me know what you guys all think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please do a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.